welcome to my kitchen. Grab yourself a brew since we're in here. I'm on my favourite mint ginger tea again. I do love this. Today we're taking on my kitchen in terms of decluttering and getting it organised. Now, this one isn't going to be as crazy as when I decluttered my wardrobe. There is not as much to get rid of in here, but there is stuff in here that I know I don't need and that I don't use. I would really like to get rid of it. My main goal today is to really utilise the space that I've got. I would say I have probably a typically average sized kitchen, but I don't feel like I've got very much storage in terms of for food. We don't have a pantry, we just have a few small cupboards. But to be honest, I don't feel like I'm utilising the space very well. So hopefully I can get some sort of organisation systems in place today and make it just a much more functional room in the house. Let me show you around so you can see what we've got. Okay, so these cupboards here are the only place in the house I really have for storing any food products. The big two in the middle, that's the fridge and the freezer. So that's already sort of serving a purpose. I'm using that as well as I can. I've got this narrow one down the right hand side, which, to be fair, they're not great. They're not the best for storing things. And then I've got on the left, the one at the top, I sort of keep at the moment baking supplies, tea, coffee, sugar, that sort of thing. And then the one at the bottom on the left is the one that is the most wasted space, because that's the one that's probably the biggest and I'm utilising it in probably the least effective way I could. So that we really need to sort out. And then over on the other side, oh, my plant's kind of getting in the shop, never mind. The drawers, we've got cutlery and then sort of miscellaneous utensils, sort of bigger utensils. Then I have a drawer for cleaning supplies that go in there, sort of rags and sponges and stuff. And then the bottom drawer has things like foil, cellophane, parchment paper, that sort of stuff in there. Then we've got the dishwasher along next to it, which is broken, so we're doing very well. Next to that is where I keep my saucepans, pots and pans and things like that. And then the double cupboard under the sink is where I keep cleaning things. Up on the top is another really wasted cupboard on the left-hand side because it's kind of just become a dumping ground. It's like the junk cupboard. It's a complete mess and I really need to sort it out. I'll show you each of these in their many states when we get round to them. Then on the left at the top, nearest the window, I have got plates and mugs. Then in the next one, I've got glasses, small plates and bowls. And then the one at the top above the microwave is glasses you don't really use that often. So for us, that's wine glasses. We have some in for when we have guests, but we don't drink ourselves, so they barely get used. So I'm going to start by dealing with the food side of things. So I'm not even going to touch the fridge and freezer because I know that's serving its purpose. What I am going to be doing is dealing with these. So in this cupboard to begin with, I've already started using up products that I've already had and not replacing, not buying new, just to make a bit of space. Then I've got these little shelving things, which are quite useful. I think I'll keep using them. I just need to sort it out a bit because it's a mess. I've got two of these turn thingy-bobs. I don't think we have a proper name for them in the UK. Every time I've seen someone do a video like this in America, I think you call them Lazy Susans, but whenever I bought one in a shop in the UK, it doesn't actually have that name on it. I don't know if that's a brand name maybe, but it's just like a turning storage. I have two of those. I have one down there and my cookbooks are down at the bottom, which I don't know if you can see, but I'll stand out of the way. You will notice at this time I have got food items that still come in plastic containers. I've not fully made that transition to being zero waste. I'm trying to be low waste. I'm also trying to use up some products I've already got so I don't waste them. So please bear that in mind as you watch this video. There will be stuff in plastic packaging that I've just not got through and used yet. Then over here is, so I've got baking goods at the top, tea, coffee, sugar here, and then sort of snacks and things we may use either for breakfast or for our packed lunches at work. And then down here is just a bit of everything all crammed in. We've got some cereal, some drinks, and honestly, it's like the bread is shoved in there. It's not ideal. So this is the side I'm going to tackle first. Over here, you might notice, I've got some of the IKEA jars. I've had these, this will show how long I've been meaning to do this. I've had these in my cupboard for quite a few months now, and they've just been waiting to be used, and they haven't yet. So today is the day. I want to put some of my more commonly used items in jars. Not everything is going to go into a jar, only the things that I really use the most. There's some things where I just don't feel like it's going to be necessary to keep it in a jar, or it'll probably already come in a jar. Because I was thinking I could put coffee in one, but I'm not a coffee drinker. I only have coffee for when guests come around, and coffee already comes in a glass jar. Just to give you an idea of how much I don't drink coffee. We have lived here nearly a year. We're here from a full jar, so this might just be better staying in its own jar. So we shall see, but this is the area I'm going to tackle first. So I'm going to get all the food items out, I'm going to transfer things into jars that I want to transfer, and then we will go from there. Okay, cupboards all empty. I think looking at them, I'm going to give them a wipe down and a clean before I go any further. So I'll do that next and then have a sort out. To go through all the products and first decide if there's anything I want to get rid of and sort of make a pile somewhere. I've now just got stuff everywhere. Make a pile of the stuff I do not wish to keep, and then after that I'm going to start sorting the dried goods into the jars that I've got over there. You can see now what I've done in the food side of things. So generally speaking, I've put the products I don't use very often to the back and the ones I reach for the most to the front. So for example, when I come to this cupboard here, the two things I grab the most are my tea and my granola. So they are in nice, easy, accessible places. In terms of the plain and the self-raising flour, I put the rest behind the jar I'm using. I know it doesn't look like a Pinterest-worthy cupboard, but to be perfectly honest, that's not what I'm going for. I need something that's going to be practical. I need to be able to see what I've got, what I need more of, and with it set up like this, I can see everything I need. So it's more functional than to look nice. Then down here, I've put all my tinned items at the top. I was really gutted because I had this shelving unit from ages ago that I just wasn't using, and it is about 2 millimeters too wide to sit comfortably in the cupboard. So I've had to turn it on its side, but that doesn't really matter because you get 3 levels and plus the bottom of the cupboard is 4 levels. And these are literally the only tinned products that we have. So they're each just in a row. I've put my drinks at the top. I've just got 2 different types of drinks that I'm having at the moment, and my husband's are down at the bottom. He has loads. And then I found a space for the bread products. Then we've just got the tall cupboard here. So I've got my most used cereal in the tall glass jar, and I was really struggling with what to do with spaghetti, and I had a bottle left over, so I've put the spaghetti in there, but I'm a little bit worried that will just have to be a temporary fix because the top is very narrow. I imagine it's going to be quite a long process to shake out the spaghetti you actually need. I've continued using the shelves and just tidied it up a little bit. It's not as crowded anymore. I've got one of the turntables. The top has just got my herbs and spices on now, which looks much nicer. I can see all the labels on the top, which is great. And the one down there has just got my glass jars on, and I've got a whole empty space now, which is great. And this one here in the middle is just sort of random bits and pieces I had left over that didn't have another home. And then my cookbooks and bottles are at the bottom there. That is everything for the food side of things. I just think it'll be much more practical, much more easy to grab what I need and be able to see everything that I need. So I'm really pleased with that. Okay, now I've done the food, I'm going to take on basically everything else. So pots, pans, plates, cutlery, all sorts. I don't feel like there'll be too much I want to get rid of, and there's some items I know I'm not even going to take out of the cupboards, like my stack of plates. I have 1 stack of plates. I'm keeping those. I know that's fine. So I'm going to pull out all the bits I'm unsure about and then sort it all out. There's one section I really want to create, and that is somewhere for us to store our reusable lunch boxes that we take to work. So on here, for example, so I've got my reusable flask, I've got my thermos that I take my soup in, we both have lunch boxes, and they just live on the side because we don't have anywhere to store them, so I'd really like somewhere to put those. I have a new cutlery drawer that I've still not got around to using because the one we've got has just got 3 big slots, so you just have to kind of cram everything in any order that you can. Whereas the new one I've got has got separate slots for knives, forks, spoons and other things. So I'm going to do that. And I imagine some of these cupboards will probably need a wipe down too. So let's go on with it. Show you these 2 mugs I've had since I was a child. So one is a Teletubbies mug and the other is, does anyone know about like rainbows and brownies and guides? I was a rainbow and a brownie and a guide for that matter, but still have my rainbows mug from when I was like 5, 6 maybe. There are a few pieces I found that I want to keep. So for example, this, which is a Beauty and the Beast teapot, cup and saucer set, which I got for my birthday quite a few years ago now. I've never used it, but I love it and I would love to keep it. So I'm going to find somewhere else in the house to store this just so it's not taking up so much cupboard space. And I'm just about to go through my mugs and decide which ones I want to keep and which ones I want to go. There are only 2 of us. I think the most people we've ever had in our house at any one time is 8, so why we would need this many mugs, I do not know. So I'm going to put a few bits I want to keep over there but might want to put away. keep these old mugs that came with Easter eggs because I put my paint water and my brushes in them when I'm painting. Saves using up any other pot. But they definitely don't need keeping in with the mugs we drink out of. Is to sort out all the cutlery. I've got my new cutlery drawer in. I'm really pleased because the other one, despite having hardly any slots, took up the whole drawer. It was almost like it was made to fit the drawer. But this one, I can have all the slots plus there's still space at the back and down the side, so I can have some of the bigger items here, maybe some of the items I don't use as much towards the back. So I'm gonna now fill this in. And here is my new cutlery drawer. It just is so much more organised than the last one, and I can fit so much more stuff in this one. So before, all of the knives had to go in the drawer below because there was no space for them, as well as all the wooden spoons. So it's just meant more space in this drawer is taken up, which means I've got more space now in the one below. I'm on to my last drawer. This is the, I want to say junk drawer. It's just got so much rubbish in it, and a lot of it is just such bad stuff to have. Like, I'm still on my first ever roll of cellophane. I don't really use it very much, but I've recently found out that you can recycle aluminium foil, or in some circumstances you can. So I will never be buying this again because I only use this to cover food if I need to, but I can just use foil that will have basically the same effect. So I have got a roll of this left, but when it's done, it's done. This should be interesting because I have got a Morphy Richards can opener. It's just a handheld, and it is terrible. So it's a proper brand, but it is awful. It barely does anything. And I also just so happen to have this really cheap, I've never used it, Wilko's, probably costs like £1 or £2, can opener that I've never used. So I'm gonna give this a go. I wouldn't be surprised if the cheap one is actually better than the branded one. So I'm gonna keep that and give that a go. Empty drawer. I now have to put everything back in a nice neat order. So I'm going to start with my grease proofs. Okay, we've made it to the end. I think I've pretty much done everything that I want to do. I want to just show you the pieces that I have decluttered and the things I'm getting rid of. I'm just going to pick out a few key bits because, as you can see, there is quite a lot of stuff here. So, for example, I have got, if I just tilt you down here, a tea, coffee, sugar set and a matching utensils pot. But as I've already mentioned, I don't like having things like that out on the counter. I've now got my tea, coffee and sugar in here. They were already in there, but now the tea and the sugar are in nice jars. I'm also getting rid of this. I love this, I think it's gorgeous, but I don't drink coffee anymore. I've stopped having coffee, and when guests come around, I just have instant coffee, so I have no use for this anymore. This is a recipe book stand. Again, I thought it would be adorable, like a really country kitchen feeling. I bought this before I moved in. I've used it once. Again, it's just something that clutters up my counters, and it's not very often I use a recipe from a recipe book because I already know what I'm doing for most of the things I cook. I've got an empty tin that had some biscuits in from Christmas, which we've now eaten. What else? I've got a knife block. I just put the knives in the drawer. I don't use the knife block. I've got a set of gingerbread men cutters, which I only bought a few months ago because I didn't think I had any, and I've just cleared out, and it turns out I do have a set, so I'm going to donate these so they have a better life. And then really it's just some odd bits and pieces that I don't use. So all in all, let's do a quick count up. So tea, coffee, sugar, I'm counting that as 3. I'm not counting that as 1. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 items, if you count the little bits and pieces as well that I can see that I'm clearing out. So that's not bad going. It's meant my cupboards are a lot easier to use and everything is just a bit more functional. So I'm feeling really good. I'll show you around one last time just so you can see what I've done. Again, remember this is mostly functional. It's not meant to look incredible or anything like that. It's just so I have an easier time using my kitchen. So in the junk cupboard previously, it was just a complete waste of space. On the bottom, I've just got medicines, and middle section is where I kept my lunch bag and our flasks because they didn't fit where I kept all the other lunch boxes and other things like that. And then that small section at the top is reserved for just nonsense really. So we have scrap paper in there, so if we ever need to make a shopping list, I can just do it on a bit of scrap paper. And I'm really unhappy about my use of yogurt pots, so I rinse them out and keep them so I can find another use for them. As I've already mentioned, I do a bit of painting, so they're sometimes useful to mix paints in, so there is that. I haven't washed my breakfast pots for a start. I haven't bothered to tackle under here. This is, you can see the corner of the rubbish I've started to clear out on the mat. This is my cleaning stuff, lotions and potions, so I've not attempted to even look at that today. In here is where my cooking and baking stuff is. So I've got my wok and my frying pans, my saucepans, and then my strainers and sieves and stuff there. They were on the bottom before and I was really having to lean around the corner to get to them. And then more baking bits at the bottom, plus cheese graters and a few pans down the back and at the side. Up here, I feel so much better about this now. There's not a ridiculous amount of mugs in it. So I've got plates. I was able to put my 2 soup bowls sort of in a more prominent on display place, which is lovely. I love that. I've got my mugs, and then our lunch boxes are at the top, and then just a few other almost like Tupperware bits and pieces just contained in that grey box. Then in here, that's pretty much the same as it was, just plates and bowls at the bottom, glasses in the middle, and then a bit of a random assortment at the top. It was just the only place where my mixing bowls really fitted, so they're in there. This has become a bit of a junk space now, so the glasses we rarely use and a few spare mugs that we rarely use, they were my husband's and he insisted that we kept them. Dishwasher, as I've said, doesn't actually work at present. So then we've got the drawers. So I've already shown you my cutlery drawer, which is amazing. I'm loving that. I've then got more space in the second drawer because there was utensils in here as well. So I've just got my placemats, pizza plates, tea towels, and then I just had to put my potato masher at the back because it didn't fit in the top drawer. Then this is quite a bad one for all the plastic, so forgive me, I am sort of in the process of just using leftover bits that I already had. I won't be purchasing again. This is a bit of a cleaning drawer, so we've got just some bits and pieces in there. Everything is visible and easily accessible. And then this is a sort of foodie-ish bits drawer. So we've got the foils and stuff at the end and a few bits and pieces I might use for cooking, but not a lot. And then you've seen all these, so just a little recap. So my tea, coffee, sugar and sort of breakfast area is just here. My canned goods, drinks and bread products are down here. And last but not least, I've got cereal and spaghetti, because why wouldn't you put those two things together? Various packet foods, my herbs and spices, and a bit of a random mixture, glass jars and cookbooks. And that is literally everything. I'm all sorted now and I'm really, really happy with how this has all turned out. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining me today for this video. I have pretty much achieved everything I wanted to today, which is just brilliant. I feel like this is a much more functional space where I can use the things I use on a daily basis with a lot more ease than I did before. I've not got to sort through and sort of search for things that I want to use. And I just feel so good knowing that I'm getting rid of all of these items and someone else can get some use out of them and they're not taking up unnecessary space in my cupboards. So thank you for joining me this weekend. Just a reminder, if you're not already following me on Instagram, I will put that here. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more content like this, please subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.